Well, hello everybody, it's Richard here, and I'm having a few days break after Easter, and I thought what better time as the sun is shining and the weather in the UK has been really fantastic that I'd talk to you about one or two of my projects. The last video I made was regarding the Godsall PG, I think it was, and you've probably seen that video. And then after that, James and I went on that wonderful Segway event over at Leeds Castle, and on the Thursday before Easter, and we had a really good time. So if you haven't caught up with that, I know it seems a bit lengthy, but also it's good fun. And segways in the UK unfortunately can't be used on the public highway or on footpaths, so that's the only place you're going to find one is on somebody's private land. Well, they are quite an amazing bit of kit actually, and they're a bit like riding a bike, so good fun. So this afternoon I just thought I'd just update you about one or two of these projects, as I just mentioned earlier. And I've recently purchased a HMV gramophone 103, which used to be called the Table Grand, as well as a sort of another title for it. And it came from a lady called Emma down at near Rochester, a place called Upner, Lower Upner, and she and her partner were living in this wonderful public house called the Pier Restaurant. So if ever you get an opportunity and you're near in the area, you must visit them because it looked very nice. I didn't eat there, obviously I went to pick up the gramophone, but Emma was a really welcoming person, and I gave her a bit of history about gramophones, which she was quite fascinated by. So this was one of those collection only situations, and I knew full well that the machine was probably in good nick, but I'll show you around that one. I'm going to play that this afternoon. But before then, about 2 years ago, I actually purchased from another lady a Columbia Glorfonia. And this was in quite a bad condition, and it was one of those ones that you see on eBay where somebody's converted it to an electric arm and all the other parts are missing except the main horn inside. So I've had to do some work on that, and I've sold the electric arm. There seems to be a market for those, and so that put back some of the cost of the money that I spent on buying it, so it offset some of that cost for me. So I just thought I'd mention that. But anyway, I'm going to show you around where I am with this at the moment. So let me just take Mr. Panasonic. By the way, GoPro has decided that he says his SD card is full. I've got to get James, my son, to help me sort that out. So I've gone back to old school, and so we're back on Mr. Panasonic. So I've got to take him off the perch here, and just let's show you around. So just bear with me a minute. So right, here we are. This is the motor ball for the Glorfonia, and it if I just turn this over for you, it contains this very nice single spring box, and it's number 5A motor. Those of you who are like me into these things know this quite well, and dates from probably about 1920s. So and obviously I'll be taking this motor apart to give it a good clean and re-grease the spring box as well, which I do, soak them normally and get all that stuff out, because it's, you know, so it's been sitting in the workshop here for a while. I have mentioned it in passing. So that's the motor board, so I'm going to take that off there. So, and I'll show you the rest of it shortly. It's got its little leather pad there for the brake, which I'll have a look, and then the usual slow fast arrangement here, which is like a thumb screw type of thing. And of course they get gradually faster and faster and faster to make them go, because the speed tends to get all gunked up, which this one clearly is. Just moving around the workshop for you slowly. There's the Godsall now fully installed on top of Mr. Godsall, and his loudspeakers up there. I managed to fit that in amongst all the other things that are in this workshop there. So he's doing all right actually. And then I've got a light which I put on just to give a bit of light above so I can see the disc properly. And oh, there's Robbie, and so doing all right. Now if we move outside, let's take a slurp of tea. So these are the two bits of kit that I've got to show you today. The Glorfonia here, this is the lid. Probably made about the same time actually, these two machines. Be interesting to do a test actually afterwards. All the parts are here, as you can see. I started work. I actually haven't got the original tone arm, but I did actually find one that came off another machine which I bought as spare parts, and this one works very well. I have done a test of this, and then all the screws and bits and pieces are here. If I lift this off, the lid, there's the, I'll just put this down a minute, bear with me a second. There's the double horn, the reflex horn in there, and then of course the sound control just by these louvered doors here. It was actually it was actually thrown in a skip, and it's had this enormous slash down the side of the case. I've had to re-stick this piece and this, and I've had to support the horn, which I'll have to do. And then the electric tone arm was actually fit here. I've got to fill these holes in, and here. So I don't know what was going on there. This is the original screws into the horn section. So and I'll obviously have to fill it in with some filler. These are where the needle boxes go, and that's where the support goes for the lid. So it's all there, luckily. It sounds really nice. We've got a nice big reflex horn. So and then the other bits and pieces. So the lid's okay as well. So it's a good project. I just need to start the project. Now this is the 103. Now this one came from, say, down in Lower Upner, which is a lovely little village on the Medway. And usual 103. The 109s of these had an automatic brakes. This is about the same time. They were run normally between 1920 and 1933, if my memory serves correct. You've got a number 4 sound box on here. Again, this needs all cleaning up. I'm gonna play you an Al Bowley record on this one just to test her out. There's some slight problems with the lid. I'll show you that. The usual things are, of course, all the cases always end up splitting, and also this is very loose here, needs repinning. Somebody's put an awful old nail in there, and so all this wants rubbing down and redoing, so that'll be part of the project. Obviously this will be polished. The motor is quite stiff when you wind it up. It does run, but the speed, I've had to fix the speed, because what's happened is that over time the pads have all dried out of oil, the little felt pad on the governor, and so when you make it fast or slow it doesn't do anything, it just stays in one place. But obviously it's fixed at 78. So but it came with these needles, and it's all there. So without further ado, I'll see what it sounds like.
And let the world go by, singing a song we march along the highway. Say goodbye to sorrow, there's always tomorrow to think of today. Sing as we go, although the skies are gray. Beggar or king, you've got to sing a gay tune, song and a smile, making life worthwhile. So sing as we go along.
Wonderful. That's Al Bowley singing there. And a rather jolly man, Sing As You Go, from the film Sing As You Go. So there we go. So the other thing that was missing on this machine is the front knob, pull knobs on here. But otherwise it's in good condition. Okay, it's a bit stiff. The handle's a bit stiff, but you know, it's probably been left in a loft. The lady that I bought it off said she's only had it 6 months, and was moving obviously the day I turned up to collect it. So you know, but yeah, it's a nice machine. I've got some ideas about those front knobs. I might actually, I found a couple in the main house, but I might use some of these brass knobs here. They're not original, obviously, they can't be original, but I've also, in the house, I've got some on an old magazine rack which actually probably fit those better. They're wooden ones, so I might use those, but we'll see. But anyway, that was just a bit of a project update, as it's such a lovely afternoon here, and the weather's been so good. And I thought it'd be nice to hear the 103 outside. It's interesting actually that I'm using loud needles, and it still doesn't sound that loud, to be honest. It just sounds about right. So I hope there's no sort of socks inside that horn somewhere, which may be reducing the sound quality, but I'm sure there isn't. But anyway, if there are, I'll find them. Anyway, speak to you all soon and look forward to your comments.